you'll take a few moments and just relax into your chair, as most of you probably already are, and breathe consciously. Release any tension or tightness in your body where it's felt. Your throat, your neck and jaw, shoulders, stomach. Just kind of wiggle a little bit so you can feel where it might be tight, and breathe. Go through your body, top to bottom, top to toes. Loosening all the knots and tension, and breathing, always breathing consciously. Feel yourself immersed in the presence of pure being. Breathe it in. We are poised between two worlds, human and divine. In this earthly life, we're constantly at the threshold of one or the other of these two aspects of our nature. We're not at war, yet frequently we're not exactly at peace within ourselves. William Wordsworth expressed it this way: our birth is but a sleep and forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life star, hath had elsewhere its setting, and come from afar, and not in entire forgetfulness, not in entire nakedness, but trailing clouds of glory do we come, for God, who is our home. Heaven lies about us in our infancy. We long for that original home, or at least we want to feel at home within our dual nature. This holy homesickness is really the presence of God within us, seeking our recognition, our love. So our search for God, for this union, is prompted by the very presence of God already within us, calling to us. Think on these things in the silence. In truth, God is closer to us than our very breath. May we fully experience this holy love. May we fully remember that once we trailed clouds of glory, and we can still return to that. May we know with Julian of Norwich, all shall be well, all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be exceeding well. Amen.
There's a song that's inside of my soul. It's the one that I've tried to write over and over again. I'm awake in the infinite cold. your symphony, singing in all that I am. At the top of my lungs, I'm giving it back. So I lay my head back down, and I lift my hands and pray to be only yours. I pray to be only yours. I pray to be only yours. I know now you're my only hope.
Thank you so much for that. A perfect introduction to a message called Coming Home. Coming Home. Thank you. Oh, first of all, I wanted to mention I took a little tour of the bookstore. I do that every time I come. And mention a couple of things in the lesson that are out there. But one thing I'd like to, that just came to my attention, is Lent is upon us, and you have booklets out there. They're $3, 40 Days of Lent, and it starts on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day just happens to be Ash Wednesday. February 14th begins the first day of 40 Days of Lent. So if you want to follow along in Unity's process of exploring Lent, it's out there. So now, a little backstory about why I'm doing a lesson called Coming Home. 2 years ago, I sold my home. I rented out the home I owned to a friend and moved. That's in Port St. Lucie. I moved from there to DeLand, and it seemed ideal until it wasn't. So 3 months later, I moved everything again to Stewart, into a mobile home that was furnished because I, didn't have much time to look. I was desperate to get out of DeLand. And the owner was returning for the winter season, so I had a very short time. In November, I leased an apartment where I am now very happily. That was November of 22. So I've been there now 15 months. And I find myself still kind of looking, but I'm very happy there. I sold my home, and I was helping a friend of mine move this week. She had been 20 years in her condo and is moving back to Arkansas into what was her childhood home. So you can imagine what that entailed, 20 years of accumulation. So it's been a process of coming home. I have a sign by my door that says, "Life takes us to unexpected places. Love brings us home." That's actually what your song was about, too. And there's a story. It's told in the Bible in the book of Ruth. I always remember where that is. I say Joshua, Judges, Ruth. It's in that order. Okay, it's 4 chapters. It takes a very short time to read it. And it's about 2 women whom life takes to very unexpected places, and then love brings them home. It's a beautiful story. A story you probably are familiar with, Ruth and Naomi. Naomi and her husband Elimelech were caught in a famine in Bethlehem, actually, and they returned. They left and went to Moab, which was a neighboring land that was a little more fortunate. There they took their 2 sons and made a life. Naomi stayed there about 10 years. During that time, she lost her husband. Her sons had married Moabite women, and then they also died. The book does not say why the men died. It just says they were left 3 widows. So 10 years after Naomi arrived in Moab, she decided to return to her home, Bethlehem, Judea. So her 2 daughters-in-law go with her. Not too long into the journey, I keep thinking Oprah, all right, it's Orpah. Orpah was sent back home, and Naomi tried to get Ruth to go also back to Moab to find a husband, make a home. She refused with these beautiful words. Don't make me go back. Where you go, I will go. Where you live, I will live. Your people are my people. Your God is my God. Where you die, I'll die, and that's where I'll be buried. Not even death itself is able to come between us. It's beautiful, and that's in that book. And by the way, that's read from the Message Bible, which you do have out there in the bookstore. It's a very modern language, and you may not feel at home in it, but for that particular book, it's wonderful. There's another book, and I'll be talking about that also, about a journey home. But for now, I want to talk about the meanings of home. There are several. Think about it. There's the physical, literal home, your childhood home, your current shelter. Maybe, like me, you had a home away from home. My great-grandmother, until I was about 14, was where I really felt most at home. You may have a home like that. Then there's the emotional. Well, of course, that's kind of the home away from home, but there's another sense, a place that feels like home. You say, my heart just feels at home here, and it may be not actually a shelter. It may be a place in a park or a certain reminder of something that feels like home. Or you may be in a comfortable home, but there you feel like still a motherless child, as the song goes. So, emotional. Then there's leaving home, because the home you're living in feels like an anchor holding you back. And then there's returning home, no more to roam, as another song goes. The Smithsonian Institute in 2012 did a series of articles, actually, about the meanings of home. One of the things they said is, be it ever so humble, it's more than just a place. It's also an idea, which I've been talking about here. It's a place, we say, home is where the heart is. And that's very, very true. Okay. Imagine someone saying to her friend, this is just one of those lives you have to get through, and I'm hoping for better luck next time. Well, maybe it's just time to come home. Like the prodigal son, the next story I told you I'd tell you about. That's told in Luke 15. It's much shorter. It's a parable that Jesus told. The prodigal son left his childhood home. Like most of us, when we leave our childhood home, we're hoping to make our own way, make our own home more suitable to our nature, aren't we? Well, this particular son went out with high hopes. In the process of looking for his home that would feel like home, he spent all of his money and lost his self-respect. Sort of like the song from Urban Cowboy, he was looking for love in all the wrong places. Deeply shamed and hungry, he returned to his father's home. And he just hoped to get lodging like his laborers, the farm laborers. But that is not what happened. He returned to his home, and there was a great celebration. His father loved him and had never stopped praying for his return. He welcomed him with a huge party. And that son didn't have to hope for better luck next time. You're all gathered here in church, as they sang in the introduction. So you know I'm going to talk about a spiritual application of home. We start thinking with our heads where and how and when, but it's in the heart, and that's just a short distance, head to heart. But it's really a Herculean journey from the head to the heart to live every day. I call the heart our divine home. That's where those trailing clouds of glory, if they ever found a home, it was in the heart. When Jesus said, "The kingdom is within you," I think he meant it literally. We each contain a divine pattern of the kingdom of God within our heart. God is Charlene, God is Sean, God is each of you. God has infinite ideas. Some of them seem to us delightful, some a little crazy, some wonderful, some very strange, some very, very beautiful ideas. And they're encoded in each of you. At the time of conception, definitely at your birth, you already have some kind of plan in there, a divine code. And you can think of it as, or I do anyway, genetically ordered design within. That design becomes eventually, sometimes unconsciously, your passions. Some of you are passionate about gardening, birding, cooking. Some of you are passionate about business, about making the world a better place, about helping other people get on their feet, about healing people. Some of you are more into making the home a better place, a safer place for the animals. Whatever it is, those passions are born in that original coding, even if you don't realize it. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, called the father of positive psychology, says this: flow is being completely involved in an activity for its own sake. There's not much logic involved when you get into this flow. The ego falls away, time stops, every action, movement, and thought follows inevitably from the previous one, like playing jazz. And that quote from Mihai Csikszentmihalyi reminded me of John Lee Hooker. He's got a song, I think it's called Chillin' Boogie. Anyway, this is how he put it in a song. I'm not going to sing it, thank God. One night I was laying down. I heard Papa talking to Mama. I heard Papa say, "Let that boy boogie woogie, 'cause it's in him and it's got to come out." So sometimes it's that obvious what it is that's in you, divinely ordered within you, that needs to come out. And sometimes we've left home, closed the door, and we don't have a clue, but it's still there. If we don't come home to our true self, we suffer. There can be an inexplicable loneliness. It's a loneliness actually for ourselves. We feel a void, and we try to fill that void sometimes with alcohol, sometimes we fill it with shoes, sometimes with work, and sometimes with working out. Psychologist Alice Miller said, "Depression is the result of being separated from one's true nature." Stephen Press, I collect books, as most of you know by now, and authors. Stephen Pressfield is a really great author with a blog that I subscribe to. Anyway, he says, most of us have two lives, the one we live and the one unlived life within us. You may know somebody who's a little gloomy. They see the negative side, and they're always kind of like that. And you know there's a life locked in them, inside, that desperately wants to make some noise or some waves, wants to get out of there and express. And you just want to put your hand in to your friend and pull that out, but you can't. Had a hard enough time getting it out of yourself, probably. You suffer when you're separated from your essential self. But did you know the universe suffers too? I'll explain it this way. If you had a beautiful piece of art or a very useful tool, if you lost it, you'd look for it. If you broke it, you'd try to get it fixed. Well, you are that work of art. You are that tool. And somehow you're meant to fit in to this whole universe, or at least you're part of the world. Just fit in and be that work of art or that tool. And the universe is calling you to wake up, come home, and take up your soul-filled life and, so to speak, to shine. Now, Mark Twain, man that he is, said in one sentence what I've spent all this time on so far. The two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. Now, maybe I'm still finding out why, and maybe some of you are, maybe some of you know. But whatever it is, that why comes from that kingdom somehow planted within us. And you can't rationalize, theorize, or analyze your way to it. You have to feel it, sort of like John Lee Hooker felt it, like we know Sean feels it, and so many really feel it within them. That's how it's in your soul. Your feelings are the light on the porch, shining on the door, and you have the key. You have to use it. And I'll tell you what the key is. Jesus told us. He said, no one could come into the kingdom, that is the kingdom in here, no one could come into it unless they become as little children. That's a key. I think what he meant was, like children, we have to leave yesterday on the pillow. We greet the new day with an open heart, and if we can, with a little excitement. No cynicism, no leftover grudges, but lots of room for magic and miracles. Very young children aren't separated from their original selves, their original nature, until, as Don Miguel Ruiz says, they become domesticated. We train them, and we are trained. By the time we get this age, we are well trained out of it. But the 2 to 4-year-old, and I have a 4-year-old great-grandson, so I can guarantee this is true, they don't think like we do. We think in words. They use intense feelings and lots of energy to move through their days. Could we be that open? It's hard to give up our vocabulary and our history, our training. Here's an illustration. that gives us a clue. Hafez says, first the fish needs to say something ain't right about this camel ride, and I'm so darn thirsty. This thirst, this niggling feeling that something ain't right, that tells us that something needs to be done. It sets us seeking something that'll quench that thirst. We follow that yearning. If we continue paying attention to what ain't right, our feelings give us a clue toward home, that place that feels right. Every time you don't feel your inner self, your inner truth, when you do something that takes you out of congruence with it, your body will protest. It'll keep on increasingly protest as you keep your feelings shut off. James Joyce, in his book Dubliners, described one of his characters as living a short distance from his body. That's a good way to describe how you might feel. We're designed to live from our authentic self. Your nature keeps you, urging you, moving you toward it. Your body clues you in. You feel peace, or you feel pain. You feel longing, or you feel belonging. You feel light, or you feel heavy, disease or ease. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, did not feel heavy or serious. He said, life should be a journey in jubilance. Now, first of all, of course, I love alliteration, but I love that thought, a journey in jubilance. Imagine someone asks you, what have you been doing lately? And you answer, oh, you know me, still journeying in jubilance. Can't you just hear yourself saying that? I'm journeying in jubilance, whatever that means for you. Can you hear the angels say, open the doors to heaven? Because that one's coming home. Think about it, jubilance. Sufi master Hazrat Khan said, the purpose of the spiritual life is to be happy. Happiness is within one's own being, and so when you're seeking happiness, you're seeking your true self, the inner self. When you know and respect your inner nature, you know where you belong, and you know where you don't belong. So, just one last thought. If you're not having fun, check to see if you're riding a camel through the desert when you were meant to swim in the ocean. Home, home. That's where you're finally free, comfortable, being you. You are happily engaged in letting your light shine wherever you are, just as you are. Lao Tzu said, the master travels all day, yet never leaves home. So may we, and so it is. Amen.